It's like a shark, NATO, except with poop.
This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words. Tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. I had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
There are some whores in this house.
Everybody, welcome to the show. Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. Hey, we got a day. It's a busy day. It's an important day. We got stories, so we're gonna talk about them. We got MAGA Chuds versus COVID-19. That's fun. You can imagine who won that. We got the 4-day work week. See, this is somebody who cares about labor, who, used to work in that, doing factory work and all that stuff. This is an awesome study. It's an awesome topic. You're going to love it. We got Tucker Carlson not happy with Kenny Klips. We're going to see what happens there. We got Fox News freaking out about Captain America. And we've got Hurricane Elsa, AOC calling out, of course, corrupt politicians. Who take fossil fuel money. So fun times. We're going to have a good show. Yes, we are a little early so that I can make time to get all the stuff done. Once I'm done with the show, I got to go through and edit and post up the clips and everything, and then get myself prepared for the TYT power panel that I'm going to be on at 6 Eastern. So that's going to be fun. Tune into that. I think it's going to be a great show. Why? Because I'm on it. So, tune in for that. And hey, let's start it up. Let's get it going. And I apologize if I'm going to seem a little rushed. What is this? Bringing back the jacket. What is going on today? Oh, right. All right. I know. I'm being absolutely ridiculous as normal. Let's do it. So it's been over a year, since the start of the pandemic that has killed over 600,000 Americans and sickened millions of others, and has mutated into being even more infectious. And yet there are still people out there who think, oh, no, the virus totally fakes. Totally fake. Fake news. Masks. Taking away your freedom. Deep state. Vaccines. Tracking devices for Satan. Now, of course, you're not going to be surprised about who these people are. I've talked about it before. They happen to, let me just give you a hint, their belief in COVID-19 being a hoax happened to coincide with the belief that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. They happen to be that, people who are basically consuming conservative media, Fox News, OAN Newsmax, Tucker Carlson, etc. And so that shouldn't be surprising. And now you have, of course, as a result of people that are not vaccinated, the Delta variant, which is right now tearing through the states, through communities. And as it does so, you have doctors out there that are voicing some frustration as these people, of course, they get coronavirus, they get sick, they end up in the hospital in many times serious conditions. They die in hospitals. And so you've got a lot of doctors, medical professionals that are pretty frustrated about this. In fact, here's Dr. Ryan Dare of the University of Arkansas for Medical Studies in Little Rock, told NBC News, quote, "It's heart-wrenching to see unvaccinated individuals come into the hospital with regret." Regret. I'm going to get to the regret part. But look, before I do that, let me just give you a stat here. The majority, 99% of hospitalizations from coronavirus are among the unvaccinated. And of course, it's no surprise that this is happening in states that supported Donald Trump. So Dr. Dare noted that treating clients that had expressed some regret after they had gotten sick. In fact, one had said, quote, I'm sorry, this is what Dr. Dare said, if they could do it all over again, they would have had the vaccine in a second. Interesting. So that is very interesting. And again, this is all happening while the cases of COVID-19 are on the rise among the unvaccinated. Some 40% of the country ish still hasn't had both shots. That's a lot of people that are unvaccinated. That's a lot of people that are still getting sick. And there's a lot of people that are taking up hospital beds unnecessarily. Again, we don't have to do this. They don't have to be in the hospital with coronavirus if they had the vaccine and had been wearing masks. But anyway, there's another one here. This is Dr. Mayro Juarez telling NBC News, quote, "It's just a mess. Everybody in the hospital is doing extra shifts, calling out for other hospitals to help." So, the frontline workers, the people who were taking care of people during the height of the pandemic that were getting sick themselves, dying, having burnout, going through seeing the worst scenes unfold of people dying in hospital beds and, not able to be surrounded by their loved ones, touching and looking at a screen, an iPad or, in video chat with their family as they lay dying, gasping for breath. That's what's happening here. Okay? And they went through all of that. And now we have a vaccine that is incredibly effective, several vaccines that are incredibly effective. And these doctors are still seeing people come through because they choose not to get the vaccine. And of course, they're like, but why? Why? Now, Juarez also reported, like many other doctors that have been quoted here, everybody in the hospital is doing extra shifts, as I mentioned. He said he has patients who are, quote, shocked that coronavirus exists and it can be fatal. So understand that, right? So other doctors that I've quoted before have talked about their patients dying as they're gasping for breath, saying, "This isn't real. I thought COVID-19 was a hoax." In fact, he said, quote, "A comment they make all the time is that they wish they knew they were going to end up in the hospital this sick and they would have made a different choice and got the vaccine." Weird. It's, look, we've said this. We've talked about this over and over. Get the vaccine. This is serious. COVID-19 is serious. We're not messing around, right? This isn't swine flu, okay? This isn't, H1N1, okay? This is incredibly serious. This is worse than all of these. Which, by the way, go back to swine flu H1N1, we actually had competent government at the time. And so we actually did have plans in place. And so did something about it, prevented it from spreading. But in this case, we have, yes, we had a disastrous response under the clown president. And then we did get a vaccine, thankfully, that is effective, but people choose not to take it. And we know who these people are. And more importantly, we know what kind of media these people consume. Conservative media, Fox News, as I said, Newsmax, maybe posts on Facebook by anti-vax groups that exist. We don't live in the same reality as some of these people do anymore. And of course, it's because of the media. And look, you also have quote unquote influencers on the right wing. For example, Candace Owens, I talked about her saying, quote, "Me and my family will never get the vaccine. Ever." And then you have Tammy Lauren still putting out videos like this. This is a recent one.
Am I surprised the Biden administration will be launching such an intrusive and moronic effort? No. Does it disgust me? Yes. Will it go over well? No. Will it encourage me to get the jab? Hell to the no, and once again, for good measure, no. Vaccination is a personal choice. It's not Joe's dang business whether we choose to get vaccinated or not. And in fact, this communist-inspired approach will likely have the opposite effect that these vaccine pushers are hoping for. Some Americans are already wary, and rightfully so, about a vaccine that has not yet even been FDA approved. The last thing that will make us feel better or more comfortable with getting it is having some Karen from the nanny state come push it on us on our own private property. This latest overreach is par for the course for these COVID-obsessed tyrants. These elected and unelected bureaucrats have had no faith in the American people from the get-go, closing down our businesses, parks, gyms, schools, churches, and everything else they deemed non-essential. Britney Spears doesn't need a conservator, and neither do the American people at large. They've treated us like inept children who are incapable and even rendered unable to make our own decisions on our own health and wellness, and it's complete and utter BS. The government and their scientists, namely COVID warrior king Fauci, have been wrong on multiple occasions on everything from where coronavirus originated to the efficacy of mask wearing. Many of us feel flat out lied to, and we have a legitimate right to feel that way. And listen, I'm not here to tell you if the vaccine is safe or not, but I am here to tell you that getting it is 100% your choice. Like I've said before, I am personally not going to get the jab because I'm young, healthy, and unafraid of coronavirus. And I'll be more than happy to explain that to Biden's vaccine knockers should they make the big mistake of coming to my door. Thanks, but no thanks.
That is such a fake person. That's not a real person. That's a caricature. All right. Now, like on this show, I'm real. Okay, I'm a real person. Yes, this is how I talk. All right. She is not a real person. Hell to the no. I'm not gonna get the jab. Those vaccine pushers. Oh my God. No, you know what that is? That reminds me, that is the most literal Karen moment rant that I have ever seen. Like, I felt like she was going to ask me for the manager. Like, that's who she is. Like, she is asking for the manager. And so, but here's the thing. I'd bet money that Candace Owens is vaccinated. Tommy Lauren, I think it's a requirement to work at Fox, to be in the Fox building, that you get vaccinated. That Tucker Carlson, so that means Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, all the people that are spreading anti-vax conspiracies, of course, they're all vaccinated. And by the way, the Trump family also vaccinated. It's a grift. It's a complete and utter lie that's going to get people killed. And again, this is disinformation. And what it is, it's more culture war BS. That's what it is. It feeds into the culture war. It's trying to own the libs, dying to own the libs. That's, that's exactly what they're doing. It's for the outrage, for the clicks. I mean, this is complete and utter Karen reactionary behavior. Totally. And sadly, this is why so many people who are unvaccinated are ending up in the hospital dying. Again, 99% of the deaths and hospitalizations are among the unvaccinated. And this is despite having a vaccine that is free. It's free and effective, even against the Delta variant. Okay. But again, you have people that listen to this. And as a result, let me give you an example. Wyoming has an only 35% vaccination rate. And there's a doctor there that talked to NBC News. This is Dr. Andy Dunn, a family physician and chief of staff at Wyoming Medical Center in Casper, said he is, quote, beyond frustrated. Whether it's the cowboy way or whatever, the mentality of so much of Wyoming is just, we're not doing it. It's really horrible and heartbreaking. That's the medical professionals. These people, again, they're getting sick. At first, they're messing around, they F around, fuck around and find out. And that's exactly what happened. They go around, they prance around without their masks, and they don't, I'm not going to get vaccinated, freedom. And then later on, they're in the hospital, barely able to breathe, going, well, I didn't know that COVID-19 was real. I thought it was a hoax. I kept listening to Tommy Lahren and Tucker Carlson, who keep telling me that it's a government overreach, and that, they're going to inject Satan into your veins. I mean, come on. I shouldn't have to sit here and explain how these people are factually wrong. Because it's so incredibly obvious. But unfortunately, I'm not reaching enough people. We're not reaching enough people. Facts aren't reaching enough people because we live in a fact-free world. Or at least they do. And don't accept reality. They should have listened to the science about this. They should have gotten the vaccine. Instead, they wasted time, money, and possibly even their own lives. It's so disgusting knowing that these hosts, who are likely vaccinated, are doing this for money. I mean, Tommy Lauren's always been a fake. She's always been a fraud. She's always been a grifter. Same thing with Candace Owens. Okay. And Tucker Carlson, the same thing. These are all people that are making money off bullshit disinformation that is literally getting Americans killed. And that's it. I can't really add anything to that. All right, let's move on. I'm going to save the work week story here for a little bit later. We're going to go to Tucker Carlson. Speaking of Tucker, oh boy. No. It's that. Okay, so I want to get something straight with Tommy Lahren. Okay, she's not dumb. She's paid to play dumb on TV. Understand that that's worse. I can forgive being ignorant. I can forgive being stupid. What I can't forgive, because being stupid means you can get smart. Get smart. It means you can be educated. It means you can learn things. Okay? The thing is, Tommy Lahren, she's not a stupid person, but she makes money to be stupid and to spread stupid talking points. That's worse. That is so much worse. Because she is literally using these people, making money off of it, financially benefiting from the kind of gross disinformation she puts out. That's what's sick about it. She's a grifter. She's a paid propagandist. True. Very true, Tamsin. All right. Now let's go to Tucker. Intercept reporter Ken Klippenstein is at it again, causing trouble for people in positions of power, of course, as well as privilege. But last night, one of his efforts caught the ire of one Tucker Carlson, and he got big mad about it. Take a look.
Well, we've been spied on by the Biden administration. There's not a lot you can do about it. You can make noise about it and seem outraged, but in the end, you don't really have a lot of recourse. You learn a lot about your democracy when that happens to you. One thing you can do is file a Freedom of Information Act request seeking any call records, texts, or emails that the NSA got from you, or in this case, us. And so we did that. We haven't heard back from the NSA, probably won't for a long time. They did promptly respond, however, to some stooge at The Intercept, which is some joke billionaire-funded website. This guy filed a FOIA request about our FOIA request, and then wrote on Twitter this: I've obtained under FOIA the FOIA request Tucker Carlson sent the NSA. So what's interesting is, and it really does kind of crystallize the total degradation of American journalism. The Intercept was founded to push back against the surveillance state. It was founded by Glenn Greenwald. And now, of course, they're busy covering it up and cheering it on. You wonder, instead of FOIAing our FOIA requests, what are you going to find there? Nothing. Want to figure out what the NSA is doing, the largest intel agency in the world. That might occupy your time. That might be a virtuous thing to do. Doesn't occur. Because, of course, they support it and its successes.
Ah, yes. Ken Klippenstein, notorious lover of the NSA. Right. Does he do any, like, research at all? It doesn't feel like he does. And besides, here's the thing. So I'm going to kind of break this down. So there's a couple of different things. For one, FOIAing a FOIA is just funny. Because that's what Ken does. He goes through and he FOIAs everybody. And it's awesome. It's funny that Tucker Carlson earlier talked about, the Intercept, billionaire funded. But wait, his buddy Glenn Greenwald, who is on a show all the time, who had helped found the Intercept, is against the security state, right? So wait a minute. Is it a billionaire funded joke? Or was it there to hold the excesses of the security state? Interesting. But all right. Anyway, let's get into it. See, Ken Klippenstein wasn't actually the only one to put in a FOIA request on Tucker's FOIA request, because he wanted to find out, was Tucker Carlson actually spied on? And that is an interesting question. And so now a FOIA request takes about 10 minutes to fill out. Very, very simple form. So really, it's not that much of a waste of a time. His segment complaining about FOIA requests, you could fill out a FOIA request within that time. I'm just saying. But again, the important question is Tucker Carlson being spied on by the NSA? Well, that would be a major scandal, right? I mean, yeah, if the NSA was spying on Rachel Maddow, well, liberals would explode. Their heads would blow up. So, of course, spying on journalists is a pretty big issue. In fact, the Trump administration had attempted to spy on journalists by getting their emails, their phone numbers, etc. And so, yes, that is a significant issue. But here's the thing: the NSA actually already spies on everybody already, and we know that because that was revealed by Edward Snowden and numerous reports in The Intercept. But also, again, yes, spying was done by the Obama administration, the Bush administration, and yes, the Biden administration. And so, yes, Tucker's FOIA, interestingly enough, is not of the Biden administration. It was actually during the Trump administration. It was launched in 2019. So the other ridiculous thing, and it goes back to 2019, is what it does. It was recently filed and actually covered, it was very wide net that was cast here, the information that it asked for, and it did go back to 2019. So were they getting spied on by the NSA in 2019? I mean, that's what the producer asked for, but okay, anyway. So now there's more ridiculousness, all right? Axios reported that Carlson's attempt to secure an interview with Russian President Vladimir Putin through Kremlin intermediaries in the U.S. was the basis of the accusation. Now, I'm going to say there's actually nothing wrong with Tucker Carlson reaching out to interview Vladimir Putin. There's nothing wrong with that. So why would they spy on that? Again, he's running a show. If he wants to interview Vladimir Putin and reach out to interview Vladimir Putin, what's the problem? He interviews people. And so, totally fine. No, the NSA should not be spying on you for that. And so, that's what makes his entire thing pretty ridiculous. As Axios writes, it is unclear why Carlson or his source would think that the outreach to get an interview with Putin could be the basis for NSA surveillance or as a motive to have his show canceled. But of course, that does not fit Tucker Carlson's narrative. The fact is, again, both BuzzFeed and The Intercept's Ken Klippenstein filed the FOIA request to the NSA requesting Carlson's FOIA request to the agency at literally about the same time. But now he's not complaining about that FOIA request from BuzzFeed. No. Just at Ken Klippenstein. In fact, Carlson said that he had filed one when he first made his allegations, and a copy of the Fox host request, which was filed by one of his producers, showed that Carlson's request for information from the NSA was extremely broad and covered a period dating back to January 2019. So again, as I mentioned, the NSA, it does spy on us. We know that. And look, we should probably do something about that, honestly. Edward Snowden went and, talked about that and exposed that and was like, oh my God, I can't believe the government's spying on all of us. And then nothing happened. Oh, okay, well, great. So now we all know the government spies on us, and we're not doing anything about it. And really, honestly, before Tucker Carlson, and during the Trump administration, before Carlson even said anything about it or worried about it, it had been an issue, and almost nobody was talking about it, except for The Intercept. It's so ridiculous. Now, look, I have a problem with them vacuuming up our metadata, because that's what they do, and of course spying on people of interest, which mainly foreigners, and people connected to those foreign actors. So again, if Carlson did get swept up in this, it's likely because, again, he was reaching out to try to get an interview with Vladimir Putin, which is totally fine, considering that he does a quote-unquote news show. So there you go. As far as the NSA loving Ken Klippenstein, he has been reporting on the American surveillance state and the intelligence community. And so the fact that Tucker Carlson doesn't know that means he's not a real journalist. But he does know his base, and they don't care about facts. And now in Ken, they've got a new enemy. So there you go. Hey, TYT Raid. Welcome, Raiders. Started the show early today. I am actually going to be on the main show later on tonight. And so I'm trying to get done a little bit early. But we've got more show for you today. We're only a couple of stories in. We're going to talk about woke Captain America, the 4-day work week experiment, and more, and AOC. So let's get to it. All right. I'm trying to get organized, and I just can't. There's no organization. You know what there is? There's insanity in the control room.
There's insanity in the control room.
That's what it is. All right. Anyway. So Fox News is continuing with the culture wars. And today on the list, Captain America. Take a look.
It's sad, really. It's so sad when Captain America is now like Captain Woke or Captain Propaganda. Did I miss an issue where he was kidnapped by liberal arts professors and was forced to move to Portland? It's the absolute worst. And it's just more proof that the left is going to come after everything that real Americans hold near and dear. They're in after baseball. They tried to cancel apple pie. And now Captain America. Maybe they'll change his outfit. Maybe now, instead of a shield, he'll be armed with a laptop. And he'll have exciting adventures where he sits in coffee shops and tweets mean things. And he's an active fact checker on Facebook. It's horrible.
That was horrible. You know what the saddest part about this is? Not just the, complete misrepresentation of what Captain America actually is. But this guy is supposed to be a comedian. This is supposed to be some Loftus guy. I already forgot his first name. So all I know is that he's a comedian. It's supposed to be a comedian, and he's terrible because none of that was even remotely funny. Like, where does he do his show? Nursing homes? All right, whatever. I mean, that's conservative comedy right there. I was like, oh my God, everything is woke and bad. Liberal coffee shops. Oh no, everything's woke. Sad. How's that funny? That's not funny. Now, okay, of course, the other point that I want to make here is cancel culture, of course, right? So conservatives, this guy's talking about, oh, you're going to cancel everything that's America, real Americans hold dear. Like baseball and apple pie and Captain America. Wait, conservatives are the OG masters of cancel culture. For one, they've tried to cancel Dungeons and Dragons, rock music, rap music, Harry Potter, the Beatles, video games, literal history when it comes to critical race theory. Come on, man. Cancel. I could go on. There's a huge list of things that they've tried to cancel. And besides, Captain America was literally created to punch Nazis. That's it. That was his thing. He's the literal first Antifa. Okay? And by the way, later on, and there's been so many different rights of Captain America's character, so many different adventures and comics and movies, etc. But like, the theme has been pretty consistent, trying to represent the best of America, which apparently is not conservatives. They are not sending their best. In fact, during Vietnam, the character was written as being against the Vietnam War. Patriotic. Not only that, but he was frequently distinguishing between patriotism and fanaticism in the comic books. Again, there's nothing wrong with actually being patriotic. It means loving your country and wanting to make it better. I happen to be patriotic myself. I believe that, hey, if we actually, I would like to actually have the promise of America. Right now, we're not delivering in that promise of America, and we've got a long way to go. But I think that if we all get together, we can do amazing things. We can get everybody health care. We can have an amazing, transit system. We can do amazing stuff on climate change. What I'm doing is I'm really fighting for the promise of America to be the best, America that can be, actually live up to its full potential. These guys don't. They don't get it. They don't understand. It's sort of like Paul Ryan not understanding Rage Against the Machine. You know what the machine is? You guys. Conservatives are the machine. Right over their head. And of course, this isn't the only guy who's complaining about this today. You got Kevin Sorbo, washed up actor, of course, Dean Cain, another washed up actor, probably the worst Superman out there, complaining about all of this and not understanding at all the characters that they played. It's complete ridiculousness from very unserious people. Oh, it's funny. They also complained about, the newest issues by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And this is why they really are raging at Captain America now. Because Red Skull was compared with Jordan Peterson. Clean your room. Oh, and he was tweeting about that. It was so sad. So incredibly sad. All right. Anyway. That was my Jordan Peterson impression. Oh, yeah. Steve Rogers got a vaccine. Or an injection. Interesting. All right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Winter Soldier the most popular of his movies where he literally went against the U.S. government and their armed surveillance platforms? Yes, you are actually correct, David. That's one of my favorite movies. I don't do the Jordan Peterson voice very often, but I'll work on it. I'm like getting to be known as the guy who does the impressions now. It's weird. Lobster Man. Okay, anyway. There's literally nothing worth saving about America. The dream wasn't even real. No. Okay, it's not about saving it. It's about actually living up to a promise and making this country better. That's what progressivism is all about. Doing better. Like, don't black pill. You don't need to black pill. We can do things. We just actually have to all get involved. I mean, you talk about all the time, and I see you on the chat. Talk about all the time, like, oh, we need a general strike. We need to do this. Well, that's how we get this country to be better. Yes, there were a lot of promises, and a lot of those promises turned out to not be true. Let's make them true. Let's do better. Anyway. Like, again, don't black pill, right? We can do this. We can do better. All right. Oh, hey, Socially Distanced Dragon, thank you for the 1,000 bits. Holy crap. Wish me luck on my way to the 9th layer of hell, aka work. Good luck. Have a good day. Also, thank you for the other 500 bits. Y'all are amazing. All right. All the new follows. Again, thank you for the raid, TYT. Dread2 Max, thank you for subscribing at Tier 1. Really appreciate that. All right, let's do the work story. Probably one of my favorites. A recent study out from Iceland reveals that working less actually makes life and productivity better. I mean, this is one of those things that's kind of like a, yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, of course, working less actually makes people happier. I know, who knew? But I'm going to give you the details because it is interesting and we can learn a lot from it, of course. Now, the study was published by the Association for Sustainability and Democracy, or otherwise known as ALDA, in Iceland, and the UK think tank Autonomy. And what they did is they had two experiments between the years of 2015 and 2019, in which roughly 2,500 Icelanders were given a shorter work week to see how it would affect productivity. So now here's a caveat already. Iceland, in doing so, said, well, people still have to get paid the same, right? They have to get the same with the shorter work week than they did with the full work week. So basically, you get a bump in pay and you don't have to work as long. So understand, like, that's what's involved. Okay, so now they found that reducing a 40-hour work week to a 35 or 36-hour work week did not lead into any drop in productivity or the provision of services, while worker well-being had improved substantially across a range of metrics, including perceived stress and burnout. Good. A wide range of workplaces were involved in the 4-year period covered by the trials, from hospitals to offices, and over 1% of the entire working population of Iceland had taken part. So employees, again, were kept in the same pay, even though their hours were cut, and that is incredibly key, because what we see in America is usually employers will cut hours and not boost pay. And of course, that leads to more stress, because then you're getting paid less. Now, also to be noted, Iceland has universal health care. In America, we don't. And so understand that that has a big impact as well. Pretty much every job in this country requires a full-time status to get employee benefits like healthcare. So we could only do this if we had Medicare for all or some sort of single-payer healthcare, universal healthcare, and of course, made sure to pay people the same for working less hours. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's going to turn out to be bad. And so, as for the results, the study showed that there was no noticeable rise in overtime for the majority of staff. You had shorter meetings. Shift changes and the cutting out of unnecessary tasks all help workers stick to their new regime. Working 4 or 5 fewer hours per week actually also forced people to get more creative with how they did their jobs. And while some participants in the trials said they initially struggled to adapt, most of those involved soon got used to the new way of working and actually preferred it. One person said, quote, Instead of doing things the same, usual routine as before, people reevaluated how to do things, and suddenly people are doing things very differently than before. And people also cooperated in this, said one of the participants. Interesting. Now, another thing, of course, that's another thing that might not happen in America without some major change in our work culture. For example, there's so many unnecessary meetings. There's so much pointless time wasting, busy work that happens in the workplace. And of course, I'm sure you've all heard this, you know, if you're not on your feet, you're not working. Okay, so if you're not doing something, even if, like, for example, you work in a factory and your machine's down, well, you're expected to sweep up and clean up and stuff. You can't sit down, can't do any of that stuff. You got to be working, right? That's a waste of time. Understand. But the important thing here is when it comes to productivity, studies have shown that after about 6 hours of working, productivity goes down the drain. So really, we shouldn't be working as long anyway. And we shouldn't have to be working as many days as we are. And again, on the well-being side, well, those involved reported, again, less stress, better work-life balance, and in follow-up interviews, participants mentioned benefits including having more time to do errands and home duties, having more time to themselves, and being able to exercise. Across both trials, many workers expressed that after starting to work fewer hours, they felt better, more energized, less stressed, resulting them in having more energy for other activities, such as exercise, friends, and hobbies, states the published report. This then had a positive effect on their work. Overall, this experiment was declared a major success. Awesome. It has become more and more clear that few wish to return to pre-pandemic working conditions. A desire for a reduced working week is set to define the new normal, concludes the report. And again, that's exactly what happened. Since the trials were carried out, about 86% of the entire workforce of the country has moved to that shorter work week, and there's hope that the research behind the tests and that these ideas, the researchers behind the test believe that these ideas could be applied in other countries as well, and it would be nice. Now in America, well, we're used to rise and grind. Understand. We're used to, of course, working a lot of hours, extra hours, with very little benefit. But actually, we're not the worst out of the world. In reality, Japan is probably the worst. I'm not entirely sure if it is the worst, but it's got to be one of the worst. Again, you have people that work 60-hour plus weeks. It's highly, highly competitive. There's a lot of stress. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that can't take the mental and physical strain. That's why you have fairly high, this is a content warning, suicide rates in Japan. And so, of course, they could benefit from this as well. I believe that nobody should have to work themselves to death. That's ridiculous. And nobody should want to. And understand, in America, we do kind of have this culture of, no, bust your ass for the company, work, don't take any time off, put in extra hours, and maybe you'll actually get somewhere. Maybe the boss will notice you and you'll get a raise. It's stupid. It's stupid. Human beings weren't meant to spend all day in little cubicles typing out bullshit reports. No, life needs to be more about, more than just about work. Okay? I mean, we're more productive as a society than we ever have been in the entirety of human history. I mean, you look at people making those, like megalithic structures and pyramids and stuff. We're actually more productive than the people that made the pyramids. And yet, instead of making pyramids, we make iPhones. And by we, I mean, like, very, very low-paid people in China and in India. But you know what I mean. As society, I think we can afford to slow down. Okay? I think we can afford to slow down and actually allow people to actually enjoy life while we still can. Just saying. Okay. It's probably my favorite story. All right. I've got one more story for y'all, and then we're going to raid into somebody else on Twitch. I started the show a little bit early, and so we've got one more here, and that is AOC versus fossil fuel. So, I apparently did not get the memo on the TPS report. It's true. True. Sad. Here we go. This should be a quick one. All right. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has called out her colleagues in Congress for blocking the Green New Deal. So now, right now in New York and in New Jersey, Tropical Storm Elsa has caused massive flooding to the subway system. And so as a result, AOC had some strong words for the GOP for taking orders from fossil fuel companies. And it's not, of course, it's not just the GOP. Yes, they take a lot of money from fossil fuel companies, but guess what? Well, so do Democrats. In fact, here's what she said, quote, "The Green New Deal, which is a blueprint to create millions of good jobs, rebuilding infrastructure to stem climate change and protect vulnerable communities, is unrealistic. Instead, we will do the adult thing, which is take orders from fossil fuel execs and make you swim to work." True. But then again, think of the sales of snorkels and swim fins. If you got to swim to work, I mean, capitalism right there. No problem. Totally fine. Yeah, swimming to work. It's wonderful. Look, yes, she is still talking about the Green New Deal, bringing it up. And I think that's great because we need a Green New Deal because climate change is so bad. For example, the ocean was on fire last week as a result of not, climate change, but fossil fuels, the pipeline that had burst in the Gulf of Mexico. Not only that, but as a result of climate change itself, you had a small Canadian town that burnt to the ground, while the Pacific Northwest had triple-digit temperatures. And of course, those temperatures are set to return. And so, look, you have a lot of problems, but hey, no, totally fine. Hey, what are you talking about? Climate change, where? What climate change? No, fossil fuel companies are continuing to make money, and that's all they care about. Now, the CEOs, as I've said before, the CEOs are not going to be alive when it gets bad. They're not. I mean, when it gets really bad. And it's already bad, but it's going to get worse. Now, this follows, of course, the infamous video of the ExxonMobil lobbyists. I've talked about this, who admitted that, yes, they fight against the science. They hide behind shadow groups. They put out BS press releases saying that, oh, the carbon tax, we support that. Oh, yeah, carbon tax. They don't actually support the carbon tax. In fact, they pay politicians like Joe Manchin to not pass and the Republicans to not pass a carbon tax. They know it will never happen. They're paying people off. And of course, the latest fight is over Biden's infrastructure bill. Now, Biden's infrastructure has got a lot of problems. They're putting a lot of investments in fossil fuels. And there are Democrats that are saying, well, we're not going to pass it. We're not going to do anything if we don't do anything about climate, if we don't put something here about climate change. Okay. Again, in the video, this guy was saying, quote, "Joe Manchin, I talk to his office every week." He also called Manchin a kingmaker and discussed how, on the Democrat side, we look for the moderates on these issues in their efforts to stop policies that could, of course, hurt the company's business. So, well, if you want to point at the problem, Joe Manchin is the problem. Kirsten Sinema is the problem. The moderate corporate Democrats are the problem. They're the one blocking these things, blocking these bills from getting passed that involve investment in climate change. In fact, here's another quote. "Did we join some of these shadow groups to work against some of the efforts at regulation? Yes, that's true, but there's nothing illegal about that. We were just looking out for our shareholders." Well, of course they were. because that's all they look out for. That's all they care about. And they have lobbied to prevent anything good from making it into Biden's infrastructure bill. This is why we have to remove money from politics. That's really the driving force here. The money from these Exxon lobbyists, the money from these think tanks, like the Heritage Foundation, and all the other Koch network of groups that are spending that are muddying the water on climate change. The so-called whipping boys that this guy was talking about in the video with the undercover Greenpeace activist. That's the problem. You've got to get the money out because look, the planet's on fire, and they're not going to do anything as long as they continue to get paid. So get rid of the money, because if we don't, the people that are signing the paychecks are always going to continue to win. Okay. We need right-wing superheroes like Captain Libertarian. You know, it's funny, like all the right-wingers they're usually the bad guys. It is not happening. Money in politics was cemented into our system by the Supreme Court. It could be done and stay hidden. We've got to have a president that has enough balls to pack the court. I know, we don't have that. We don't have that. But we could. It just feels like not enough people are actually paying attention, or maybe not enough people believe that there's an actual solution. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all. Again, I started a little early today, so that's not why we're not going to 5 o'clock. I'm going to be in the TYT live stream later on today at 6 p.m. Eastern. So, a little more than an hour. So we're going to do that. Watch that. That's going to be a fun show. Can't wait to do it. With that, thank you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you all later. We're going to raid here. Twitch. Hold on. Let me get over here to Twitch. Again, thank you, TYT Raiders. Let's see. We are going to raid into Lumiru. So Lumiru is very based, very left-wing, uses they, them pronouns. You're going to love their stream. So go there. We're going to raid into that, into Lumi. Hopefully you enjoyed their show, and we'll be back later on the TYT main show. Thank you all. Love you. And again, we'll see you later. Have a good weekend.
Oh my, I'm sorry. Amazing.
Mike Pounds.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Please clap. They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.